Hare Krishna devotees, just very sorry for the delay. Actually, I had some internet issues and I was trying to fix them. So, last time we just completed the 12th shloka from the 13th chapter, and we were seeing that what is the process of acquiring knowledge, and for that, there are certain qualities. Um, we need to cultivate some saintly qualities we need to cultivate, and the very first quality that we require is amanitvam, that is humility. So let's quickly start with mangalacharan, and we'll go ahead. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalaakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yutapadakamalaam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सार्वधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Thank you to devotees for joining in the class. So, from these 20 factors, um, 18 qualities or 18 factors are very common for both the devotees also and the jnanis also. Now, why the jnanis? Because till the time the jnanis also, inculcate or develop these qualities, they also cannot actually attain their goal. So the jnanis also need to cultivate these these qualities, starting from amanatvam. And the 16th item that is there, exclusive devotion to Krishna, is a very special qualification. When we say that, Mai, Mai cha ananya yogena bhaktir avyabhicharina. When he's saying that constant and unalloyed devotion to me with undeviating attention. So when we say that bhakti is Ananya, and bhakti is ahetuki. Ahetuki means what? That there is no motive in doing bhakti. That okay, if I do bhakti, I will get this, and if I do bhakti, I will get that. Initially, it might happen, but as and when we keep on practicing the limbs of bhakti, we will get rid of the give and take relationship between us and Krishna. There will be only giving and not expectation of taking from Krishna anything. If he gives it on his own accord, then that's fine. But when we are not expecting anything, when we are chanting or we are doing any limb of bhakti, and the other qualities will automatically manifest for those who have devotion. Now that devotion is, without effort. It's very naturally. It's very, spontaneously. So, and the last two qualities that are there, Adhyatma Jnana Nityatmam, Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam. So, accepting the importance of self-realization and philosophical research for the absolute truth. These two are actually meant for the Gyanis. And having said that, now Krishna is going to give us uh, who is that object of knowledge? Who should be that object of knowledge? And uh, what should we know about him, and by those means what will we be knowing? Okay, so the real objects of knowledge, that is gnayam, are actually jivatma, paramatma, and whatever is there around us, right? So primarily two things: the individual soul. By knowledge we know that I am an individual soul, and then there is a super soul also, and I am an expansion of the super soul. And because I'm an expansion of the super soul, I'm supposed to serve the super soul. I'm supposed to please the super soul. So in the 13th shloka, he's saying that, let's just read this 13th shloka. He's saying that, Geyam yat tat pravakshami yat kyatvamrita ashrute ashnute anadim mat param brahma na sattanna sad uchyate. Krishna says that, now I shall explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. So, he's saying that the Brahman, the spirit soul, is beginningless. Brahman means over here, actually, you can say that he is Jiva. Okay. This Jeev or the living entity is spirit, means spiritual by nature, and the spirit soul is beginningless. Now, when you go to the history, now for us, we have birthdays. Okay, I was born on such a date. But if you ask the appearance, और उसका हिंदी में उसको बोलते, अगर जीव का प्राकट्य अगर पूछना है, तो जीव का कोई प्राकट्य की एक स्पेसिफिक डेट नहीं है. देयर इज नो स्पेसिफिक डेट फॉर द अपीयरेंस ऑफ द जीवा. But at the same time, the jiva is subordinate to Krishna, and he is lying beyond the cause and effect of this material world. So, why cause and effect? Because this energy is non-different from the energetic. Means the Jiva's energy is non-different than the Supreme Lord's energy, which is the source of that Jiva's energy. And in that sense, both their energies are, equal. So, over here, what is he saying is that Gneyam yat tat pravakshami. He's saying that now I will speak pravakshami. And yat gyatva amritam ashnute. And when you will know whatever I'm speaking, what will you get? You will get nectar. Anadi mat param brahma. He's saying that what will you get means anadi. The jeev is anadi, is beginningless. And but mat param brahma. Brahma means the jiva. So he's saying mat param, but he is subordinate to me. And na sattan nashyat uchyate. And he is not beyond the cause and effect of this material world. So See, we have Sat. Sat means eternal. And we have Asat also. Asat means, which is, sorry, um, we have Asad means temporary. So it can also mean, many multiple things, because Prabhupada has translated it as, cause and effect. But now what is being, what is the thing which is actually to be known? That is Gnayam. There could be many things, but the important thing over here, he's saying, or the important principle over here to recognize that Gnaya is ultimately the Atma. What is to be known is actually the Atma is to be known, and even the Paramatma is to be known. So ultimately, the final Gnaya means the knowledge, is what is actually the absolute truth, and uh, that is what we wanted to know. Okay, so initially when we look at the outside world, or when we look outside and we try to understand that, what is this and what is that, what is the reality, then uh, uh, we try to see in the external world. Okay, this is an apple, and this is a, fruit or a vegetable, or this is a book, or this is a pen. That is looking out, that is one way of approaching knowledge, and that is Gnaya, right? But when we say that the modes of understanding ourselves and the world around us. So when we say that, okay, look outwards, which means what? That it is pratyaksha praman, means I'm seeing with my these material eyes, and then actually I'm seeing people around me or things around me, and then accordingly I am actually taking that knowledge. And when we look inwards, that is our psychology, that this is my perception about that particular person, and this is my perception about God, this is my perception about things, this is my perception about, knowledge, that way. So then that is anuman. Okay, maybe, this person might be like that, but in toto you don't know that particular person. But when you say one is outside, that is materialism, that is pratyaksha praman, what you're seeing. One is inward, that is anuman praman, that you just try to guess something. But there is something upwards also, and that is completely based on our spirituality, on the revelation, and that is actually Shabda. So he's saying that Gneyam yat tat pravakshami. So when he's saying that, yat gyatva amritam ashnute. So when we know this, or by knowing this Gneya, one will attain Amrita. Somebody might wonder, Mataji, you're saying Amrita, Amrita? What is this Amrita? So this Amrit means, actually somebody might say that nectar. But Amrit is referring to immortality. When we understand that the object of knowledge, when we understand that soul, and we understand the Supreme Lord and the relationship between these two, then that relation enables us to taste the pure nectar of pure devotion. आप भक्ति का आस्वादन कर पाओगे जब आप इन दोनों चीजों को बहुत अच्छी तरह से जान पाओगे. सो व्हेन आई से अनादि मत परम ब्रह्मा, so this is one verse, this is one of the verses in which different acharyas take, different position on this terms of what does it mean. So it can either mean Atma, it can either be Brahman, or it can be Paramatma. So Atma is one unit of consciousness, whereas Brahman is the ocean of consciousness, like it is Sat, Chit, and Ananda. So he's saying that Anadi Mat Param, that which is dependent on me. When I say subordinate, which means only I am dependent on somebody. So Na sat tan nasyad uchyate. So, and that is beyond the cause and effect of this material world. So when I'm saying that, what is this cause and effect of, see, when actually when you say about cause and effect, it goes on for generations after generation. So like we have that chicken and egg story, kaun aaya pehle, anda aaya ya murgi aayi. So when I say what is the cause of what is my cause, then my father is my cause, and my father's cause is my grandfather, and his cause is my great grandfather, and that way, that origin is Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna is the absolute truth, which is beyond na sat tan uh, nasad uchyate, which is beyond that cause and effect cycle of this material existence. So even the scientists, they talk about the cause and effect and causal completeness, and that is why they give that why God does not matter. They say that even if God exists, all material phenomena, they are operating according to the material laws, and that is why God has no role to play, or God has no God has uh, the God does not have any role to play. So if I throw a stone, it will definitely fall down only. So we don't see God interfering, which the scientists are observing in this. But in one sense, they are correct. As Krishna has designed his world in such a way that he does not have to anyway interfere to manage this world. And that is the reason that when he is descending, that is a very can say extremely very rare event in terms of this vastness of this cosmic cycles. So when we say one day in a one day of so in one day of Brahma, so we understand that okay, the absolute truth exists beyond this realm of the cause and effects in the spiritual realm. So when he's saying that mat param, so when I say mat param means what? Mat param Brahma. So the acharyas previously they explained that it refers to Paramatma. But Srila Prabhupada mentions that this refers to Brahma, means that and Brahma is that absolute truth. So uh, Brahma can also mean the absolute truth. Brahma can also mean the spirit soul. But Prabhupada has translated that into actually absolute truth. So if you see Srila Prabhupada's purport also, he's actually quoting from the Shvetara Upanishad, that he's saying that Pradhana Kshetrena Patir Gunesha, the chief knower of the body and the master of the three modes of material nature, is Gunesha. Guno ke Isha. Gunesha. He is the lord of the three modes of material nature. So there are many Kshetragna, means there are many fields, but this is the Pradhana Kshetragna. Pradhan means main, Mukhya. And and he knows about all the Kshetras. He knows about all the fields. And that is why he is the Pati, or he is the master. I'm sorry, I didn't remove this. Kya? हाँ. Pradhana Kshetragna Patir Gunesha. And he's saying that um, so now by knowing about Brahma, one becomes liberated from the cycle of birth and death. And because in the Vedic culture, at the time of death, people go and ask for forgiveness. Uh, and why they used to ask, the reason is that this forgiveness has been given and forgiveness has been received. And now we actually calm down, this particular, you can say, mm, you calm down yourself, and we call it as an emotional closure, so that we don't have any problem in connecting with the absolute truth, right? That is why if you see the Jains, they have a day called the day of forgiveness. Like the Americans, they have a Thanksgiving day. So here in the Jains, they have a day where they ask forgiveness, and then they say that Michhami Dukadam. Michhami Dukadam is a word which means that knowingly, unknowingly, if I've hurt you, or if I've, you know, cause any physical harm or emotional harm, I'm very sorry for that. Now, why do they do that? Because they know that till the time a single Jivatma is not happy with me, the Supreme Lord also will not be happy. And that is why, if you see even Srila Prabhupada during his last moments also, he had begged forgiveness from all his God brothers, all his disciples also, so that he can, connect with the Supreme. Of course, he was always connected. Every nanosecond, he was connected with the Supreme Lord. And these people, when they have that emotional closure and that they don't have any problem connecting with the Supreme Lord, then with a peaceful mind, one can turn towards what is actually coming next. So, when Prabhupada is saying that, in the Smritis, it is said that, where is that over here? Hmm. In the Smriti, it is said that Daso Bhuta Harer Eva Evan Ananya Sava Kadachanaha. So when he is saying that the living entities are eternally in the service of the Supreme Lord. And then he's saying Daso Bhuto Harer Eva. Means what? That the Supreme Lord, sorry, the living entity is always a servant of Lord Hari. Daso Bhuta. Bhuta means Jiva or the living entity. It's Harer, Daso. Hari ka Das hai ye Jiva. Okay. Nanya Nanyasya eva kadachana. So we don't have any other position. We living entities, we don't have any other position other than being the das. We might be, boss in our own offices. Okay, but the original constitutional position of a jiva is that he is the servant of the Supreme Lord. He is subordinate to the Supreme Lord. Now, this might hurt somebody's ego, saying that, hey, I am, used to being bossano boss. How can I be dasano das? But till the time the jiva will not make any harmony with this statement, or this with this reality, the jiva will always be dukhi or unhappy only. So the sooner the jiva accepts the fact or the reality that I am the servant of the Supreme, I have been, my existence is only to serve the Supreme Lord, or I have been created only to serve the Supreme Lord, the sooner the Jivatma understands this, the better for him, for his journey to go back home, back to Godhead. Otherwise, if there is this big wall of ahankar or false ego, see, what is the difference between true ego and false ego? False ego thinks that of me and mine, okay, but the true ego will always think about being the servant of Krishna. How can I serve Krishna? How can I, please his senses? What will make him happy? So that is true ego. So false ego is that everything for my sense gratification, but true ego is everything for Krishna's, pleasing Krishna's senses, giving him that pleasure. And false ego is always thinking that I am boss, but true ego will always think that I am Das. So these are the difference between, true ego and false ego, and there can be many differences as such. But just in a nutshell, to actually give you an idea that what is difference between. So in the material world, there is false ego. And in the spiritual world, all the Brajavasis, the Gopis, the Gopas, Mother Yashoda, they all have true ego. The true ego is that I am the servant and I am meant to give pleasure to Krishna. Of course, they don't know that I am Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead and he's the all in all and all. They just know him as, he's our friend and he's our son and he's our lover, and they just serve him in that particular relationship. So, this is, and that is why when we understand that, and that is why if you see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says, no, that Ainand Tanuja Kinkaram Patitamma Vishame Bhavam Buddha Tava Pada Pankaja. So, even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also saying that we are also the servant. I Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram. I am the kinkar of that Nanda Tanuja. I am the servant. And that is why when the living entity understands this, that I am the servant of Krishna, that is where actually he gets this Vijnana Brahma. He is actually Vijnana Brahma. Vijnana Brahma means he has this realized knowledge and he gets this Ananda also. Ananda Brahma is the supreme Brahman. So now when he connects with this Ananda Brahma, he will get that Ananda which actually he is hankering for from lifetime together. योनि दर योनि वो भटकते रह रहा है उस आनंद की खोज में, लेकिन वो उस उस पर ब्रह्म के साथ जुड़ा हुआ नहीं है, इसलिए जो है वो प्राय दुखी ही रहता है. ही इज अनहैप्पी ओनली in that particular state, but the moment he connects to the supreme lord, then there is happiness only. Okay, let's go to the next shloka. Sorry, we dedicated almost half an hour to this particular shloka, but it was necessary. Then he's saying that these are some real good shlokas from 14 to 18. Okay. And he's actually talking about the all-pervading nature of the Supreme, which is actually Gneya. And these are actually the qualities of the Super Soul. So let's see what are the qualities of soul. He's saying, Sarvatah Panipadam Tat Sarvato Akshishiro Mukham Sarvata Shruti Malloke Sarvam Sarvamavritya Nirtishtati. Everywhere his hands and legs, his eyes, heads and face, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the super soul exists, pervading everything. So he's saying that Sarvatah Avritya means he's pervading everywhere as such. And what is pervading in the Brahman? It is the impersonal absolute truth, right? And he's saying Sarvatra Pani Padam Tat. Everywhere his hands are there, and everywhere his legs are there. So generally, we don't talk about the Brahman having hands, legs, faces, like we saw in the Upanishad, that the Supreme Lord is actually a effulgence, right? Sorry, the Brahman is the effulgence of the Supreme Lord, right? So this is referring to the Paramatma aspect. And if you see, this verse is referred to the Advait Acharya, which, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quoted in the Mahaprakash Leela, that Advait Acharya is explaining all the verses of pure devotional service. But for this verse, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes in Advait Acharya's dream and he explains that this verse is referring to the Paramatma aspect of the Supreme Lord. And that is why even for us, if you see, Prabhupada has given in a very, very easy way to so that we can understand that, okay, yes, this is the Paramatma. And for the lineage of the Advaita Acharyas, he was having a very brilliant darshan. And he had a very wonderful darshan of the Supreme Lord, and he gained that understanding in that particular dream of this particular verse. So, Srila Prabhupada is giving even one more understanding from the what do you say, Brahma Samhita. He's saying that Golok eva nivasti akhilatma bhutah. So, although the Supreme Lord is always engaged in the pastimes in his transcendental planet, still he is all pervading. And Golok eva nivasati. Nivasati, nivas karna, means he is actually residing over there. And then he's saying that, but he is akhilatma bhutah. Akhilam, see, if you see that, Akhila and Atma. Okay. So he is the indwelling super soul in the living beings. But actually, he's saying that he's there in all the living beings. Akhilatma Bhutah. He's present in as a super soul in all the living entities. And therefore, the individual soul cannot claim that he is all pervading. Who can claim? Only Krishna can claim that he is all pervading, and therefore, this verse describes the supreme soul, the personality of Godhead, not the individual soul. So, this is one of the actually qualities of the Supreme Lord. Then the next, what he is saying is, let's see the next. सर्वेन्द्रिय गुणाभासं सर्वेन्द्रिय विवर्जितम् असक्तं सर्व रुचैव निर्गुणं निर्गुण गुणभोक्तृ च. He's saying that the super soul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living entity, all living beings. He transcends the modes of nature, and at the same time, he is the master of all the modes of material nature. So over here, he's saying that Sarvendriya Guna Abhasam, which means that he is the source of all the gunas also, and the source of all the senses also, and the source of all the qualities also, guna also. So, which means what? That Sarvendriya Indra Vivarjitam. He's saying that Vivarjitam means he is free from all those senses. And he's saying that Asaktam Sarva Bhruchaivaha. That this absolute truth, the Supreme Lord, he's detached from everything. But at the same time, he is the maintainer of all the Sarva Bhrita. He's the maintainer of all the Jivatmas also. Bhritya means those who are subordinate to him. And then he's saying that Nirgunam Guna Bhoktrum. Because the absolute truth is not affected by any modes, and he is transcendental to all the modes, but still, even if he is transcendental to all the modes, he is still the controller of the modes. The three modes of material nature, he's still the controller of all. So, in this way, that is how the Supreme Lord or the Absolute Truth is the reservoir of all the contradicting attributes also. And they all are integrated into one. So over here, what is being referred to is that the absolute truth has inconceivable attributes or qualities, and we have seen in the Ishopanishad also. See, inconceivable means what? Inconceivable doesn't mean that we cannot understand, but we cannot understand that our present level of consciousness is not able to understand about the absolute truth. And of course, over a period of time, we'll be able to understand. The more and more we go nearer, we'll be able to understand, uh, uh, and the more we will, will try to see fully. We cannot understand Krishna, but we will never be able to understand it completely. You can say 100 percentage mein nahi. We might be close to 90 percentage or 92 percentage, but 100 percentage nobody can understand. So uh, here there are over here there are just give me 1 minute, okay? Hmm. Hmm. Here there are three sets of actually contradiction established. That he's the source of all senses, but without the senses. He's the maintainer of all, but not the maintainer of anyone. And he's the lord of the modes, but still he is beyond the modes. So these are all possible because of the achintya shakti or the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Lord. So somebody might ask that why am I not able to understand the Supreme Lord or the Absolute Truth? Because I am currently I am materially contaminated, or currently I have materially contaminated senses, and that is why I'm not able to understand the absolute truth in toto. But as and when I purify my existence, I purify my senses, I purify my mind, my intelligence, I will be able to understand him how much ever it is necessary for me to understand. Okay, we'll just go to the next shloka. So here he's saying that बहिरनन्तश्च भूतानाम् अचरं चरमेव च सूक्ष्म सूक्ष्म sorry सूक्ष्मत्वात् तत् विज्ञेय दूरस्थं चान्तिके च तत्. The supreme truth exists without and inside of all living beings, the moving and the non moving. Because he is subtle, he is beyond the power of the material senses to see or to know. Although far, far away, he is also near to all. So, Anantascha Bhutanam. He is situated inside also and outside also of all the living entities. When you say Bhutanam means, the living entities. Previously, I used to think Bhoot means, I was saying, what is Bhutanam? And why the word Bhoot is coming in the Bhagavad Gita? Because when devotees used to recite and they used to give classes, we did not have the physical Bhagavad Gita. Or if they're quoting some shlokas from here and there of the Bhagavad Gita, and I used to always think, why is he saying Bhoot? Why is he taking the name? But then, when slowly and slowly we also started reading the Bhagavad Gita, that's where I came to know that Bhuta means actually living entity. So he is situated inside also and outside of all the living beings. And then Acharam Charam Evacha. Achara and Chara means what? That which are moving and non-moving living entities. And also Sukshma Sukshma Tavat Tad Avigyanam. So means what? See, Sukshma means very, very subtle also. Okay, subtle living entities also. And therefore, Avigneyam. We cannot know it properly. And see, if you see that, just one minute. Ah. They're saying over here that he is subtle and thus not knowable by material senses, because he is very subtle. And if it is very interesting in this section that it has started only from Gneya to Avigneya, right? Means we'll talk about Gneya, but now it is saying that Gneya is Agneya, means the knowable is unknowable at the moment. So, Durastham cha antike cha tat. So, he is far away also, but he is close by also. So, see, he is far away for whom? He is far away for the non-devotees. But he is close to the devotees. For us, even Krishna, we can see Krishna in every living entity. We can see Krishna, his energy is everywhere. In that way, Krishna is close to us. And uh, uh, that is why, if you see in the purport also, what Srila Prabhupada is saying is, आसीनो दूरम व्रजति स्यान्य सयानो यति सर्वतः. It's from the Katha Upanishad he has taken. The So he's residing far away, sarvatah, and he's residing everywhere else also, but at the same time he is all pervading also. So sometimes uh, we might wonder that, okay, these are so inconceivable attributes. How will I be able to understand? So, see, at one level, we can say that Bhagwan is far away. The Supreme Lord is very far away, Bhagwan. And the Paramatma is very close to us. He's sitting right inside us only, right? And the super soul is very much watching all our activities, whatever we are doing. And that is how he is near us, you know. So, see, Shirodakshay Vishnu is outside us, and Mahavishnu or Garbhodakshay Vishnu. So, like that, we can see that these verses, that how mm, another like way of understanding would be that is that uh, we can understand it by the glory of the Supreme Lord, that oh, the Supreme Lord has so many extraordinary attributes. But both the perspectives will be actually true in itself only. So let's go to the next shloka. And these are really very nice shlokas. Huh? अविभक्तं च भूतेषु विभक्तमिव च स्थितं भूत भर्तु च तज्ज्ञेयं ग्रसिष्णु प्रभविष्णु च. He's saying that sorry, although the super soul appears to be divided among all beings, he is never divided. He is situated as one. Although he is the maintainer of everything, every living entity, it is to be understood that he devours and develops all. So he's saying that uh, avibhaktam cha bhuteshu. Avibhaktam means he's undivided. Vibhakti means divided, and avibhakti means not divided, undivided. And vibhakti ivacha sthitam. So although he is undivided, he is acting as if he is divided. So bhuta uh, bhuta bhartrucha tad gneyam. He's saying that. So he is the maintainer of all living beings, and tad gneyam. He knows also. He is the knower of also all the living entities. And then he's saying that Grashishnu and Prabhavishnu. So Grashishnu cha bhuteshu, and then he's saying that um, he's the devourer also, and he's the developer also of all the living entities. So that is why he's saying that avibhaktim cha bhuteshu. The super soul is different, है ना? In different hearts, he appears different, and that is why they are no different. That uh, he is that one supreme Lord only, but in different manifestations. So that is why he's saying that, like Eva, he is saying that as if is used for comparing both. So he's emphasizing also. So like if you see, you have some 100 pots, okay, and you fill those pots with water, and then the sun is shining, and the sun is shining in every of those 100 pots. Does that mean that now the sun is divided into 100 suns now? No. So the sun is reflected in the hundreds of that water pots, and it is the same because it is a reflection of the same sun, but it is not same because it does not contain the same potency as the sun. It is just a reflection of that particular sun. So that is why he's saying that bhuta bhartru chattad neyam. So he is the maintainer also of the living entities, and that is why he is the destroyer also, and he is the creator also of all the living entities. So, though the time creation, maintenance, and destruction happens, but here the point of the absolute being transcendental to all these material changes is actually being brought over here. And that, okay, all these three material changes are actually the agencies of time, and that is why we are just an instrument in the hands of the Supreme Lord. And that is why Srila Prabhupada is actually mentioning over here uh, one shloka. Hmm. No, I think there is a different shloka. Anyways, we just go to this. So see, uh, there is a verse in the Bhagavatam which says that when a person, I don't know the name, I mean, don't remember the shloka, but I'll just tell you the gist of it. That when a person he loses money, the wallet falls on the road, and the person loses that money and again gains it by some other means. So in that way, one understands that things are not in my control. So our actions are actually not final; it is decisive, and that is why if you see, the husband is potent and the wife is fertile, and still the couple does not get a child, right? Both have, good symptoms of becoming parent, but still, they don't get it. So the ultimate sanctioner or the ultimate giver is who? The Supreme Lord. And when Parikshit Maharaj also, if you see, he got that curse, he immediately understood that this curse he's got is actually by the Lord's arrangement, and that is why he immediately came to the bank of the Ganges to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. And he understood that the Supreme Lord has come in the form of Harikatha in his life. So we can also actually contemplate that how is the Supreme Lord coming in my life? Is it through devotees? Is it through holy name? Is it through by some service? Or is it through book distribution? Or is it through my spiritual master? Or through Srila Prabhupada? So, uh, uh, and we can just recognize that mercy of the Supreme Lord in different ways. And we can appreciate also that mercy. Sometimes we don't recognize, but at least we can appreciate that at least I'm in the association of devotees, at least I'm chanting, at least I'm reading the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam, and at least I'm doing some physical service. That is Krishna's mercy. Please help me to keep myself in this condition only, and maybe more than this condition. And that's how we can appreciate Krishna's presence in our life in these different forms and people also. Okay, let's go to the next. Then the next, he's saying that ज्योतिषामपि तज्ज्योतिस् तामस परमुच्यते ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं ज्ञानगम्यं हृदि सर्वस्य विष्टितम्. Just give me 1 minute. Huh? So, he is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and he is unmanifested. He is knowledge. He is the object of knowledge and he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart. Very nice. And he is knowledge and he is the object of knowledge and he is the goal of knowledge also. So he's saying that Jyotisham api tat jyotis. See, among all the luminous objects, Krishna is saying, I am light. And tamasa param uchyate. And I am beyond param. I am beyond that darkness. And he's saying that tamasa, मैं tamasa से भी परे हूँ यानी ऊपर हूँ. And ज्ञानम ज्ञेयम ज्ञान गम्यम Riddhi Sarvascha Avastitam. And he's saying that I am situated in the heart of all the living entities. Now, this similar shloka comes even in the 15th chapter. Sarvashajam Riddhi Sanvishta Matta Smitar Jnana Apohanam. I am situated in the heart of all the living entities. He is clearly, straight, he's saying that I am the super soul in all the living entities. And he's saying that Jnanam Dayam Jnana Gamyam. So there is knowledge, there is the object of knowledge, and there is the goal of knowledge. So see, what is the difference between the object of knowledge and goal of knowledge? It is very subtle, but very significant difference is there. So for example, when a particular doctor, he is examining this patient. So the object of knowledge is what? Is that particular body, है ना? Or about the disease. But the goal is what? The goal is to cure that particular disease. So Gneya for us is what? Atma. And the Paramatma and the relationship between the two. So, this knowledge is bringing us towards the point of liberation. So, Jnanam, Gamyam is to love Krishna and to serve Krishna also, to be approached by knowledge. So, Jnanam means uh, he is the object of knowledge. He is knowledge himself. He is the object of knowledge and the goal of knowledge. So now I have to approach whom? I have to approach the Supreme Lord. For that, what I need to do is to love Him and to serve Him. And that's how he's saying that that is my object. Okay, let's go to the next shloka. 19. इति क्षेत्रं तथा ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं चोक्तं समासतः मद्भक्त एतद्वि मद्भक्त एतद्विज्ञाय मद्भावा योप योपपद्यते. Thus, the field of activities, that is the body, knowledge, and the noble, have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature. So, he's saying that I told you about Kshetra, I told you about Jnana, I told you about Gneya, and of course, Krishna has talked about Kshetragna also, but that was very brief, about knowledge. But Gneyam Choktam Samasita, in summary, I have described to you everything. And who can understand this, whatever I have described? Only my devotees can understand. Mad Bhakta Etad Vigyaya. And so, even in the heart of Gnana section, what Krishna is telling over here is that one can know this knowledge only by bhakti, not by any mental speculation uh, or any intelligent speculation. Only you can understand him by bhakti. And when one understands that, it is what is he saying that mad bhavaya upapadyate. When one will attain mad bhava, mad bhava means my spiritual nature, and means my nature means what? That when he attains that eternal position or the eternal spiritual nature. Actually, Krishna's nature, which Krishna's nature, which means that we will attain that spiritual level of existence and will become liberated. So, bhakti has come two times in this chapter. It first came, if you see in the, mm, the six, cha ananya yogena bhaktir avyabhicharinah. In that particular section of from 18th shloka to 12th shloka. Okay. And then he's saying that over here he's saying that mad bhakta etad vijnana. So he's saying that who can understand this? Only my devotees. Mad bhakta. Mera bhakti samajh sakta hai ye. So others cannot understand this, which means that even if somebody is practicing Gyan Yoga, one has to include sadhana in it. One has to include sadhana bhakti in it. And if one focuses on cultivating bhakti in itself, then Gyan automatically will come. By steady practice, it will definitely come. So, see, let's try to understand this, okay? भक्ति के अंदर बाकी सारे योग शामिल है. Inside bhakti, Gyan Yoga is also included, Karma Yoga also included, Dhyan Yoga is also included, everything is included. And also, Gyan Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, Karma Yoga, they cannot reach their 100% without the help of Bhakti Yoga. If they want to attain their goals, for example, the Gyan Yogi ka goal hai, Ashtanga Yogi का गोल है, they cannot attain their goal until unless वो भक्ति को इसमें शामिल करेंगे या समवित करेंगे या उसके अंदर मीन्स इंक्लूड करेंगे. Till the time they do not include the Gyanis, the Ashtanga Yogis, the Karma Yogis, till they do not include the element of bhakti into their practices, they cannot get their desired goal. They have to include the limbs of bhakti into their practices, and then only they will get success. Otherwise, they will not get success. This is what is my understanding, and I have heard from my seniors also what they've been explaining. So, of course, this comes more detail in the second canto, where for the bhakti yogis, the sadhana and the sadhya are the same. But for the Ashtanga yogis or the Jnana yogis, at every step they leave and they adopt something else, and that's how they actually mess it up with many times they mess it up and they're not able to attain their desired goals as such. Okay, let's go to the next. Okay, from this 20th shloka to the 26th shloka. Till the 26th shloka, Krishna is actually will speak about Prakriti, Purusha, and how their union happens and all that. Okay, so let's try to understand this also. Hmm. Because um, Arjuna is asking six questions, right? If you see in the first, this only is asking about Kshetra, Kshetragna, and he's asking about Jnana, Gneya also. Now he's asking about the first and the second question he asked about what is Prakriti and what is Purusha. So then we're going to answer these questions over here in this particular shlokas. Prakritim Purusha Chaiva Vidya vid sorry Vidyanadi Ubhavvapi Vikarascha Gunaschaiva Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan. Material nature and the living entity should be understood to be beginningless. Because, see, material nature means what? Prakriti. And till the time actually the Lord does not glance on the material nature till the time it is in the dormant state. Okay, the Prakriti is already there, but it is in the dormant state till the time the Lord does not glance over Prakriti. So, Prakritim uh, uh, material nature and the living entity should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature. Transformation and the modes of matter are products of the material nature. So, there is Prakriti and there is Purusha. And then he's saying that Vidhi Anadi Ubhava Api. And both of them are what? Beginningless. Anadi. They don't have a beginning at all. And Vikaramscha the Gunamscha Chaiva. Vikar means any changes that are there or transformations that are there. And Gunasmcha or these three gunas or three modes of material nature. And then he's saying that Vidhi, know these to be. And Prakriti Sambhavan means that they are born of this material nature. So, see, there are 2 points, okay, in this. One is Prakriti and one is Purusha. But what is the main point over here? He's saying that these two, Prakriti and Purusha, they both are what? They both are eternal. And secondly, he's saying that the changes that we are seeing in the material nature, they are born of matter. So that is why they are Prakriti Sambhavana. So Prakriti and Purusha, we can say that we can classify them as um, matter and spirit. Okay. So there is variety, there is soul, and there is super soul. So both of them are in the category of what? Purusha only. So we'll see, in even in the 15th chapter, we'll see that how Krishna is differentiated from that ordinary Purusha, from being called as Purushottama. So Krishna is the supreme Purusha. Right? So Prakriti and Purusha, when when we speak about even Sankhya philosophy also, so Prakriti and Purusha is actually the central discussion in the Sankhya philosophy. And see, we have discussed in the second chapter also Sankhya philosophy, and we discussed Gyan also, and how they both are related to each other, and how um, Gyan yogis, or the path of Gyan yoga, it is using the analysis of Sankhya very, very elaborately. And even in the fifth chapter, we have seen that Krishna is using Sankhya and Gyan again interchangeably. Sometimes he's using Gyan, sometimes he's using Sankhya. And Krishna is telling that ultimately Sankhya and Yoga will give the same destination. And there might be some divergent, but they are content, and they are convergent with their intent. So the content uh, path which they are compromised, maybe actually thinking that do alag alag lag rahe hain, two different things. But as far as that intent is concerned, the goal is one only. The goal is to seek the supreme lord or the absolute truth. So in one sense, they are convergent in their intent, and that is why Sankhya sometimes refers to even jnana, the process of metaphysical analysis, which is involving speculation and some divisions of matter into some elements, and then ultimately they go beyond matter. And that is why, if you see, just give me 1 minute, okay? And that is why, if you see, um, over here, it is very nicely given in Apna Subodhini. What they're saying is, of course, Subodhini में ये जो भी दिया है ना on page number 161, it is actually the Acharya's commentary. So what do the Acharyas say? The mystery of material creation. Before the creation, the material nature and the living entities were absorbed in the Supreme Lord, Mahavishnu. At the time of creation, they were manifested, and the living entities were again given a chance to act in the material world and prepare themselves to enter into the spiritual world. And what is they saying about Purusha? The Supreme Lord is the Supreme Purusha, the master, controller, enjoyer, proprietor, and maintainer of this entire cosmos. The Jiva, or the living entity, is the energy of the Supreme Lord and is not the master or controller, but still the Jiva is sometimes called Purusha due to his mentality of being the master. Thus, the word Purusha is used to refer to both the Supreme Lord and the living entity. So, okay. So then this is about the material nature and the Purusha, and how they both are actually interacting with each other. See, Krishna is saying that vikarancha gunacha evacha, you know. So whatever changes are happening, they are coming actually from Prakriti, means that they're happening in the arena of the Prakriti. Like, for example, somebody is watching a movie, and whatever is happening on the screen. And I have nothing to do what is happening on the screen directly, because I'm just watching that particular movie. So whatever changes are happening is actually on the arena of the screen. So that is he's saying that vikaran cha guna cha eva vidhi prakriti sambhavan. So the gunas, you can say that are like the three colors: red, green, and blue. है ना? Rajogun, sorry. mm, Satogun, Rajogun, and Tamogun, right? And whatever we are seeing on the computer screen, okay, or a movie is coming because of these three colors only, है ना? Red, green, and blue. And because this, a person can see a very nice sunset, you know, or a very spectacular sky, or many images he is able to see, and so many different radical responses these colors can invoke, right? So different scenes are there. Some crime scene is there, or some other image is there. So some ghastly scene is there, but bhayanak scene, horror scene is there. So these are all combinations of, like, these red, blue, and green color. And uh, their combination is like that. Everything we see in this material world is actually compromised of these three gunas only. We may see a very beautiful looking form, very attractive object also, but these are because of the three modes of material nature, and it is being created like a projector that you have, right? The projector is creating that whole illusion for us, and the three modes are creating that, all that sense objects, and these three modes are only themselves are all material, they're not spiritual. So that is why mm, uh, Srila Prabhupada always has given this, the three modes of material nature. He's not saying the three modes of spiritual nature, because in spiritual you don't have only over there these three modes. That is why Prabhupada always said three modes of material nature. And that is why when we say this vikara means change, and change means what? Sometimes you have ichha, dvesh, sometimes you have happiness, misery, and you have attachment and aversions. That is called vikara. So, depending on the kind of image that is being portrayed onto my screen, I will experience either happiness, or either, sad, or like a ghastly murder scene I'm seeing on the screen, or a very nice sun scene, sunset scene I'm seeing. So these are all because of certain reactions that are happening because of the three modes of material nature, like Ichha, Dvesh, Sukh, Dukh, happiness and distress. This is how it's been happening. Okay, let's go to the next. Hmm. So in this shloka, he's saying that what is the role of Prakriti and then Jiva? So let's see, what is the role of Prakriti and Jiva? Karya Karana कार्यकारणकर्तृत्वे हेतु प्रकृतिरुच्यते पुरुषः सुखदुःखानां भोक्त भोक्तृत्वे हेतुरुच्यते. Nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of various sufferings and enjoyment in this material world. So see, Krishna is talking firstly about Purusha and Prakriti and how they are eternal, but the changes are produced by Prakriti. And then there is a question coming up that uh, changes are produced by Prakriti. So, is Prakriti experiencing some emotions? Who's experiencing those emotions? And how are they experiencing that emotion? So, now over here, he's saying that. Uh, Nature is the cause, right, of all the material causes. So, karya karana kartritve hetuhu. Correct. So, means what? The matter of creation. And hetu prakriti uchyate means what? Is the instrumental cause. So far as the cause and effect that is concerned with the material nature is like this particular cause. But as far as enjoyment is concerned, then who is the cause? The Purusha is the cause. And that is why he's saying that Karya Karana, they are the cause and effect. And when I say Hetu, so the Hetu can also refer to the cause. तेरा हेतु क्या था? तेरा उद्देश्य क्या था? What was your intention? And so the material nature is the cause of all cause and effect. And the enjoyment mentality, when I'm saying that the bhoktritve, the enjoyment mentality, uh, and the bhoktritva is the cause of all this sukh and dukh for me, for the living entities, especially happiness and distress. So, see, when this person he is watching that movie, okay, and the desire to watch that particular movie is like bhoktritva, and then that that leads to sukh and dukh for that particular person. So there will be some happiness if there is the meeting of the hero and heroine, then there will be happiness. And then if a villain comes in, then there will be distress. So if a person he decides to not watch the movie, then there is neither happiness nor distress. He is like neutral. So in the same way, if one experiences happiness and distress because of one's own enjoying mentality, who's enjoying? I'm only enjoying, right? And because of this enjoying mentality, this person starts watching that movie. And because of that, only either at one point of time he gets happiness, and the other point of time he gets distress. So, even if there is no observer, so nobody is there to observe, okay, certain things will be happening to the movie screen, which is caused by Prakriti, right? So, even in this material world, even if I'm not observing anything, but there are certain things that's caused by the Prakriti, okay? Like bhukam ho raha hai, baad aa rahi hai, there is earthquake, there is floods. So things will happen in the material world, but our enjoyment and our distress depends on how much we identify with that happiness and distress. We think that this happiness is all in all. For example, you get that 1 hour of happiness. I feel, oh, now I will get this happiness eternally. But after that 1 hour of happiness, then that happiness is gone. And that is why it's saying dukkhalam ashashvatam. This material world is temporary and full of miseries. So temporary you will get that happiness, but after 1 hour that happiness might go away. Like for example, a child he gets his result. He will be happy for 1 day or 2 days, maximum 1 week or 1 month, let's assume. But still it is temporary. So because he is identifying with his happiness over there. But the moment there is an accident on the road, that same person after a week will experience distress. So uh, Krishna is exactly telling or very clearly telling that what is the difference between matter and spirit. So that is why when the soul comes to this material world, he becomes entangled because of bhokritve, because of that enjoying mentality. And that is why if you see in Srila Prabhupada's purport also, he's quoting from the Mundak Upanishad. Dva Suparna Sayuja Sakhayah. He's saying that the Supreme Lord is so kind upon the living entity that he always accompanies the individual soul, and he also is present as the super soul or the Paramatma. Dwa means two, Suparna, the two birds, okay, and they are in the body itself. So in my body there is my own soul, and then there is the super soul. So he's saying that um, wait a minute, I'll just remove that. Hmm. Where is that sentence? So here it is actually. That's fine. When he's put into different bodies, he enjoys different kinds of happiness and distress. His material happiness and distress are due to his body and not him to himself. As he is. In the original state, there is no doubt of enjoyment. Therefore, that is his real state. Because of the desire to lord it over material nature, he is in the material world. In the spiritual world, there is no such thing. The spiritual world is pure, but in the material world, everyone is struggling hard to acquire different kinds of pleasures for the body. It might be more clear to state that this body is the effect of the senses. The senses are instruments for gratifying desire. Now, the sum total body and instrument senses is offered by the material nature, and it will be clear in the next verse. The living entity is blessed or damned with circumstances according to the past desire and activity. According to one's desires and activities, material nature places one in various residential quarters, or like in a dog's body or in an elephant's body. The being himself is the cause of his attaining such residential quarters. I myself am responsible for my next body and his attendant enjoyment or suffering. Once placed in some particular kind of a body, one comes under the control of nature because the body, being matter, acts according to the laws of nature. At that time, the living entity has no power to change that law. Suppose an entity is put into the body of a dog, and as soon as he is put into the body of a dog, he must act like a dog. Uh, so, what the person can do and the person cannot do, this is actually determined by the body the person is put into. So the functions of the body is largely determined by the material nature only, and what is possible and what is not possible, but the consequences in terms of that emotional responses of those actions, they are caused by this enjoying mentality, bhokaritve. So this is what he's trying to say. Now let's go to the next shloka. Hmm. So see what he's saying actually in the Subodhini, relationship between Jeev and Prakriti. Prakriti is the cause of the Jiva's unfortunate condition in this world by offering the body, the senses which produce happiness and distress, Karna, and the presiding deities of the senses, Kartur. Jiva suffers or enjoys due to his misidentification with the body produced by Prakriti. I am misidentifying no, with myself. I am a woman, I am a teacher, I am a mother, I am a daughter, I am a friend, okay, I am a sister. all these, misidentifications I have, and accordingly then I act to actually fulfill my own enjoyment in this particular body. So then the next shloka, this is the 22nd shloka, what is he saying is, then how is that jiva's association with the modes? He's actually associating with these three modes of material nature. And then because he's associating with the three modes of material nature, then he is transmigrating from one body to another. And how does he do it? Let's see. He says that Purushaha Prakriti Stho Hi Bhungte Prakriti Jan Gunan Karanam Guna Sangasya Sad Asad Yoni Janmasu. The living entity in the material nature thus follows the way of life, enjoying the three modes of material nature. See, he's enjoying the three modes. This is due to his association with the material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil among various species. So, see, Krishna is actually explaining that bhoka ritve, word, and uh, uh, some acharyas called this particular as Mahavakya or the Bij Vakya of Bhagavad Gita. So if you see, when I say Bij Vakya means the seed statement of Bhagavad Gita, like you have the Paribhashya Sutra of every book, or the Paribhashya Sutra means what actually? Paribhashya Sutra means that the guiding shloka for that whole book. So for us, the guiding shloka for the Bhagavad Gita is Man Mana Bhav Mad Bhakto Madhya Jiva Namaskar, the Paribhasha Sutra or the Shloki. Okay. But primarily, Man Mana Bhav Mad Bhakta is the Paribhasha Sutra of Bhagavad Gita. And then it is culminating into Sarva Dharma Parityajya Mamekam Sharan Mraja Om Tam Sarva Papavi Moksheshami Masucham. And the Paribhasha Sutra of the Bhagavatam is uh, in the very first canto, because see, these Paribhasha Sutras will come in the very beginning of that particular book. Okay. So the Paribhasha Sutra of the Bhagavad Gita is what? The Bhagavatam is that Ete Chamsa Kalapumsa Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. That particular shloka is the Paribhasha Sutra. Now, why, Krishna is only the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Canto 1, Canto 2, Canto 3, Canto 4, Canto 5, Canto 6, Canto 10, 11, 12, all will be coming to the common terms of this particular shloka. Every shloka will be actually taking this as the guiding light or what do you say? You can say the, वो क्या कहते हैं? Central idea or central this, that based on this only actually my statements or my shlokas will come, and that is actually called the Paribhashya Sutra. And this particular is actually, this is the Bija Vakya, this is the seed of the Bhagavad Gita, that the living entity in the material nature is following his own way and is enjoying the three modes, and this is due to the three modes, and that is why he's meeting the good and evil in various species as such. So when he's saying this, that guna sangasya, because of the association of the gunas, okay, that is why he's experiencing good and bad in every species of yoni, janmoshu, in different species of life. So the Purusha becomes situated. When he's saying the Purusha Prakriti he bhungate. So the Purusha becomes situated, sthito he. He becomes situated where? He becomes situated in the material nature. And because he becomes situated in the material nature, he does bhungate, he enjoys. And bhokaritve, the last shloka that we saw, is both are, so bhungate and bhokaritve both are actually enjoying only. So he's saying that Prakriti Jan Gunan. and uh, these are the products of material nature. So see, the soul becomes situated in the material nature because he wants to enjoy the products of material nature. And the products of material nature are what? The three modes of material nature: Satogun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. So these material natures, they are like, you know what? Earth, air, water, fire, ether. Okay. And earth in itself is not very attractive, or fire, water, air, they're not attractive. But when these are brought together and then they are, made into beautiful object, then they become very attractive. Like for example, the sunrise in itself, we feel, oh, it's so sattvic. Or the opposite gender, for a male a female and for a female a male, in itself is like, rajasic. And alcohol or cigarette in itself is, tamogun, tamasic. So all of these become very attractive. So when one wants to enjoy these material products, Prakriti Jan Gunan, the result is, what is the guna? Karanam Guna Sangasya. So the first, there is Bhungte, you want to enjoy. Then there is Prakriti Jan Gunan, there is a desire to enjoy the Prakriti. And then there is Sangha, Guna Sangha. Because of that association of the three modes of material nature, then what will happen? Then I will be put into Sat and Asat Yoni. I will be put into the womb. Yoni is actually womb, okay? The wombs of, or different species. I'll be put into different species. So, uh, some species are not having wombs, like, or they may be having eggs, but in general it is referring to species. So one will take birth in different species. So so uh, how is it that सद असद योनि में उसका जन्म हो रहा है? How is he getting birth into either a good yoni or bad yoni? Okay, so it is depending on which mode a particular person is moving on with, right? In the 14th chapter, if you see, there is one shloka. What is that shloka? Urdhvam gacchati sattvastha. It is, I think, 8 shloka only, na? I think, yeah, it is 18. Sorry, not 8. ऊर्ध्वं गच्छति सत्त्वस्त मध्यस्थानि राजस जगन्य गुण वृत्तिस्त अधो गच्छन्ति तामस. What is he saying? Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets. And those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. अब क्या है? All the time, if I am in Satogun, try to remain in Satogun, then I will go to be higher planet. But all the time, if I'm in passion, passion means only gratifying my own senses. है ना? So then I will remain on this earth planet only. And again go into one species to another. I want to enjoy, right? So anybody who wants to enjoy will be remaining on this earth only. So depending on which mode people will move. So what is Krishna hinting over here? Depending upon how we associated with the three modes, accordingly we will be given that Sad Asad Yoni Janmasho. One will meet good or bad in various species. And see, the previous verse also we saw that because of enjoyment, we'll have happiness and distress. But it is only limited to that particular verse only. It is not mentioned that it leads to transmigration of species, where, sometimes I'll be happy and sometimes I'll have misery. No. And Prabhupada also, has said that over here, if you see, sorry, not your. As long as he's captivated by this false manifestation, he has to continue transmigrating from one body to another. Due to his desire to lord it over the material nature, he is put into such undesirable circumstances. So again, he'll have to. So, which means that as long as I have this enjoyment mentality, the bhoka ritve mentality, and there is and as long as there is this bhunkate, one will have to continue material existence. So Prabhupada is saying that change of dress is due to his attachment to material existence. And then somebody might wonder that, okay, ये मटेरियल एग्जिस्टेंस को मैं खत्म कैसे कर सकता हूँ? हाउ विल ही एंड हिज मटेरियल एग्जिस्टेंस? Then he's saying that when he will hear from the that change can be affected only by hearing from authoritative sources. The best example is Arjuna is hearing the signs of God from Krishna. So now, if I want to stop this material existence, I will have to hear from the authoritative sources. And what is that change? That change is that giving up my enjoying mentality. I have bhogaritve and I have bhunkate. I have to give up this enjoying mentality. So the living entity, if he submits to this oral reception, the hearing process, the shravanam, he will lose that long cherished desire to lord it or dominate this material nature. And gradually, uh, and very, to the degree, proportionately, you can say, to the degree he will, start reducing his desire, to that degree his material existence be khatam hote jayega. So as long as he has long desires to dominate, he comes to enjoy the to spiritual happiness. So we can't expect to get rid of this enjoying mentality, but it will take some time, definitely. And but gradually and proportionately, we can, try to get over this. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, no, ye yatham ma prapadyate. You take one step towards me, I'll take 10 steps towards you. You take two, then I'll take 20. That way. So now we had said that this is the Bija Vakya, right? So what is this Bija Vakya? Because when Krishna in the 15th chapter, he's giving a metaphor that, okay, there is a tree which is upside down, which is actually this material existence. So he's saying that material existence is like a tree, and every tree is having a seed, and from that seed that particular tree grows. So like the whole tree of material existence is because of that enjoying mentality of this particular soul or jiva. So when I'm saying bhunkate prakriti janaha gunam, that bhunkate, that enjoying mentality is that seed. The moment I want to enjoy separately from Krishna, that seed is sown into my consciousness. And when that seed is sown into my consciousness, I have to actually go through that material existence. So, from that seed, ultimately, the whole tree is growing. So, this tree needs some nourishment. So, like nourishment means a tree needs nourishment in the form of water. So this water is what the three modes of material nature. And that is why Krishna says one has to rise above the three modes and become situated in a transcendental position. So this seed is introduced in the 13th chapter itself only. The water which is nourishing the seed is the three modes of material nature. Now, because the three modes of material nature are nourishing this particular seed, that is why in the next chapter, the 14th chapter, Krishna will elaborately explain what are the three modes of material nature. And uh, the 15th chapter will speak about the whole tree in itself only. What is this tree consisting about? What are its branches, and how it has to be cut down by detachment. And then Krishna will describe that, okay, it is Sangha, and Sangha, because Sangha and Asanga. And because of that attachment, one becomes bound, and because of detachment, one becomes free. And he'll speak about all the other, parts of the tree also, upper, lower, and everything. And then he will describe also that within this material nature also, within this tree also, there is the divine and demonic natures also, which will be described in the 30. So this 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 particular, you can say, shloka, or this verse will lead to the development of the thoughts of the next chapters, that is the 14th, 15th, 16th, and the 17th chapter will be there, and then everything will be summarized into the 18th chapter. Okay, so let's go to the next shloka. Oh, this is a very fantastic shloka. Okay, let us just read from the 22nd shloka. Soul changing bodies, what the acharyas are saying. Under the influence of material desires, a living entity is born sometimes as a demigod, a man, a beast, a bird, a worm, an aquative, and so on. And in all cases, the living entity thinks himself to be the master of all circumstances. Yet he is under the influence of material nature and the modes. This is due to the jiva's misidentification with Prakriti and misuse of his minute independence. So previously also he said that jiva suffers or injures due to the misidentification with the body produced by Prakriti. Over here also he is saying the same thing. And what is happening is I am misusing my minute independence given to me. Krishna has given me some independence, that either I go on this side or on that side. Either I go towards him or then I go towards Maya, right? And in this particular shloka, the 23rd shloka, Krishna is actually shifting the focus from that illusionary material world to the reality. So, what is he saying over here? He's saying that the super soul is the real Purusha. Why? Because he's saying that the supreme, the super soul or the Paramatma is what? Upadrishta Anumanta cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara Paramatmeti chapi Ukto Dehesmin Purusha Paraha. He's saying that yet in this body there is another, a transcendent enjoyer who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor who exists as the overseer and the permitter, and who is known as the super soul. I'll be winding up with this, but very important shloka, very, very important shloka for us to really dive deep into what the Supreme Lord is saying over here. And with this shloka is really going to help us in our bhakti. So what he's saying that see, when he's saying Purusha Prakriti Stohi, so Purusha is the soul, right? Prakriti Stohi means he becomes situated in the material world, and then when he becomes situated in the material world, what he's doing? Bhungte Prakriti Jana. He is desiring to actually enjoy, right? But what is Krishna saying ahead? He's saying that Upadrishta, Anumanta. So there are two functions of the super soul which is sitting. Okay, he's saying that he is the overseer also. Matlab he's saying, and he is Anumanta, Anumati Dena. He is giving permission also. So he's the overseer also, and he is the permission giver also. And then saying that Bharata Bhokta Maheshwarah. He is the maintainer also, and uh, because see, if he is the uh, master, so means he's the master only maintains, right? And he's the bhokta also, he's the enjoyer also. Maheshwarah, he is the supreme lord, he is the supreme controller, and such a person is called the Parmeti Chapi Yukto. He is also known as the Paramatma. So Paramatma is used many times in the Bhagavatam, sorry, in the Bhagavad Gita, right? Uh, and uh, and this verse is explaining what Paramatma is. Very important, okay? Paramatma, so if you see in the sixth chapter also the word Paramatma is used, you know, one who has controlled the mind, such a person has actually attained the Paramatma. This word Paramatma is used and it is defined also. So, uh, what is the defining characteristic of the Paramatma? The defining characteristic of this Paramatma is that he is the overseer, he is the permitter, he is the enjoyer, he is the maintainer, he is the controller. But also it is mentioned that Dehe Asmin Purushah. So he is in the body, but Purusha Paraha. So this is the Purusha who is Para. Para means who is transcendental. And that is the super soul who is transcendental to the material existence. ऐसा नहीं है, it's not like that okay, the super soul now is sitting in my heart, or he's sitting next to me and he's affected by the three modes of material nature. No, he is transcendental to this material existence, and that is how it is different from the soul. He is not affected at all with the happiness, distress, anything. He's different from the soul. So if we look at the flow of this thought, when we see that, we can see that Krishna is saying that Paraha, Ishvara, Upadrishta, Anumanta, these characteristics are described, but then they clearly don't apply to the soul, because we are not the overseer, we are not the permitter also, we are not the supreme enjoyer also, we are not Maha Ishvara also. So if we were, then we would have always done what we wanted to do. But actually, we depend, we are controlled, we depend on something beyond our control for the sake of our existence. Today, even if I want to lift my hand, I cannot lift it on my own if there is no sanction from the Supreme Lord. If all of a sudden, uh, my brain, immediately, one of the nerve just blast. Immediately, even right now while talking, I'll go into a paralytic state. मुझे paralysis हो जाएगा. So in that way, Upadrishta Anumanta cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara. So in the previous verse also it was told about the person who wanted to enjoy and he is caught up in this endeavor of enjoying, but this is different. He is not caught up. The Supreme Lord is not caught up in enjoying. But the Supreme Lord is Upadrishta and Anumanta. And he is Maheshwaraha. So, other verses which are talking about the Paramatma in the Bhagavad Gita, okay, like even in the 18th chapter, uh, that that the super soul is there. And even in the 15th chapter, that I am the super soul in every living entity. And the super soul is guiding us in terms of traveling and all. So Krishna is very clearly is communicated this uh, equality between him and the super soul. So one has to understand that the super soul and Krishna are actually one only, right? Uh, and he is the only person who's there sitting in every living entity's heart. And that is why, see, Mayavadis, what they say, no, that the one who is sitting inside and the one who's outside, the both are different. But no, the one who's sitting inside and one who is the Supreme Lord sitting in this, in the spiritual, both are one only. And that is why it is asking us to, this verse is primarily talking about the transcend of the super soul. Upadrishta Anumanta is the overseer, is the permitter, and is saying that there is one Purusha who is under material nature, and there is another Purusha which is above or beyond the material nature. So I I am I am the soul and I am Purusha. So I am under the control of the material nature. But there is another Purusha which is beyond the material nature and which is not controlled by the material nature, but it is the controller of the material nature. So, okay, I'll just stop over here because it is 10 o'clock and maybe devotees have some seva and all they want to. Okay, any questions till now? So far?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
In the earlier uh, this, explanation, you mentioned that Brahman is. I understood Brahman as effulgence of the Lord, but something related soul also you mentioned, and it can be related like that. You said. Can you explain a little bit more?
Yes, Prabhuji. See, now when we say Brahman, many times in the Bhagavad Gita also, Brahman means the living entity also. Because in its pure state, the living entity knows his constitutional position. The living entity in itself is enlightened. He knows that I have a connection with Krishna. And the other Brahman, see, Brahman in different contexts, they talk about either sometimes they'll talk about the Jiva as Brahman or the Supreme Lord as Brahman. But the original definition of Brahman is that only that effulgence that is coming out from Krishna's body. That is actually real Brahman. And that Brahman is the light that is emanating. Like in the Upanishad, we saw Hiranya Patrena Garbha. We saw that Hiranya Patre, that effulgence that is coming out from the Supreme Lord. And when I'm saying the effulgence coming out from the Supreme Lord, so I as a Jiva, I am also coming out from the Supreme Lord only. जैसे in Diwali आपने देखा वो फुलझड़ी, you have those फुलझड़ी लगाते हैं हम लोग, right? And then you have those sparks coming out from that फुलझड़ी, right? So I am also one of these sparks of the Supreme Lord which has come out from him only. So in that way, sometimes the Jiva is called Brahman and sometimes the Supreme Lord is actually Brahman. And Brahman is a state where the Jivatma or the Jnana yogis aspire to go in that Brahman. They want to merge into that
One.
effulgence of the Supreme Lord, the Jnana yogis generally. Or the especially see, if you see what is the difference between the Jnana yogis and Ashtanga yogis. Gyan yogis, they want to merge into the effulgence of the Brahman. The Ashtanga yogis, they meditate on the Paramatma form of the Lord. So, Gyan yogis, they don't have any hope until unless when they enter into the Brahman effulgence of the Supreme Lord, and over there, pure devotees like Narad Muni or somebody comes and gives them some association, then they can come out from that Brahma Jyoti, you can say, or the effulgence of the Lord. But the Ashtanga yogis, they have a choice. Ashtanga yogi kya karta hai na? He is meditating on the Paramatma form of the Lord. But as soon as because see, the last step in the Ashtanga yoga is samadhi, right? And in that samadhi, when he attains the Supreme Lord, what happens is that he leaves the Supreme Lord and he wants to go ahead. But how can you leave once you've attained the Supreme Lord? How can you just leave the Supreme Lord and go to the next level? There is no next level as such, but he's thinking there is some next level higher than that. And this is what the mistake of the Ashtanga yogis is, that they leave every step. Next of yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, dharana, dharan. So every step they're leaving. So if I get success at the yam level, then I will leave the yam and I'll go to the niyam. Then if I perfect niyam, then I will go to dhyana. Then if I perfect dhyana, I'll go to dharana. Then I'll keep on leaving, और मैं छोड़ता रहूंगा. I will keep on giving up those what I have attained, and then I'll go to the next level. But for us devotees, we don't leave anything actually. For us, at every step, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, ऐसा नहीं है कि when I have perfected Shravanam and Kirtanam, the byproduct of Shravanam and Kirtanam is Smaranam. बट अब मुझे जब भगवान का स्मरणम हो जाता है, आई एम रिमेम्बरिंग द लॉर्ड कंप्लीटली, आई विल से ओके नाउ आई हैव enough, I'm remembering the Lord every now and then, so let me not do Shravanam and Kirtanam. I don't need to do Shravanam and Kirtanam. No, for us these 9 limbs are on this earth planet also, and in the spiritual world also we will be doing the 9 limbs. We don't give up on these 9 limbs of devotions. But for the Ashtanga yogis, they also have the 8 limbs. They give up. At every step, they are giving up. So in that sense, even this Jnana yogi, when he is perfecting, so he is also giving. He's giving up one limb of his, this, and that is why this Jnana yogi, when he merges into the Brahman, he is dukhi. He's not very happy in that existence. Why? Because there is no activity in the Brahman effulgence at all. There is only, shunya. You just sit in one place. Like, for example, if I'm locked into one bathroom or into an empty room, you can say, and I don't have to do anything. I cannot move. I cannot, budge an inch here and there. But the soul by very nature is active. The soul cannot be bound in one place at all. And right now also, see, I'm sitting, I'm moving my hands and eyes and legs down, and I'm doing some activity. I'm moving my lips and tongue and everything. So the soul by nature is active. You cannot bind the snake. And that is why these Brahmavadis, those who attain the Brahman effulgence of the Lord and they reach that particular stage, for thousands and thousands of years, they have to live in that Brahman effulgence. And in that way, if a particular soul, when we talk about, this soul is Brahman, the Brahman platform is actually that platform where the happiness and distress do not affect a particular person. Whether I'm happy, whether I'm sad. Okay, if I'm happy, okay, so that is where there is a shloka in the 18th. Brahma Bhuta Prasanna Atma na sochati na kanchati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti labhate param. That particular person who is doing bhakti, that person is at a Brahman level. Brahman level matlab kya? When you reach to a level where happiness and distress, they do not affect you at all. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. Na sochati na kanchati. He does not desire and he does not think also of enjoying. And because he does not think of enjoying with his senses, that is why he is Prasanatma. Brahma Bhuta Prasan Atma. Once a person reaches to this Brahman level, where Bhuta means Jivatma, when the Jivatma reaches to that Brahman level, then uh, he's prasanna. His atma or his soul is very prasanna. His atma is very happy. Prasanna atma. And then that way, na sochati, na kanchati, where happiness and distress do not trouble him at all. Why they do not trouble him? Na sochati, na kanchati. सम सर्वेशु भूतेषु मद भक्ति लभते परम, क्योंकि अब मद भक्ति भगवान की भक्ति को प्राप्त किया है. He has attained the bhakti of the supreme lord. That is why none of these things affect him, and that is why he is on that particular platform of happiness as such. Prabhuji, does that answer your question, or you want more clarification?
Wonderful, clearly clarified.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Anybody else has any questions, queries, doubts? Okay, if nobody has any query, doubt, and questions, we'll stop for the day over here and we'll meet. So see, just one thing I wanted to mention is that next week we'll be completing this chapter, hopefully, and then we'll move on to the fourth. Okay, I'm explaining in details, but wherever required, you know, the detailed explanation will be given. Where it is not required, then we'll just move further ahead. Okay. And Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. You've done what now?
Hare Krishna, Dhanvat Pranam.